Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Anything Wrestling Podcast. Thank you once again for joining us. We are back here today with another episode. Unfortunately, today it is not a triple threat. We are missing Dan the Man. However, it is the Sean's and...
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Commish. I am the advocate of the podcast, and...
Are you sure?
Oh, I am definitely sure of that. But one thing about this episode, I don't give a damn about anyone's reputation. I didn't say bad, so technically don't get upset yet. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Coca-Cola. Ba-da-ba. I can't say the rest or else we'll get sued. Also brought to you in part by Kirkland Water. Get that refreshing taste going. Get that nature.
And with all these beverages, along with all the great snacks in the world, you can enjoy all your favorite WWE programming only on the WWE Network for a non-negotiable but very reasonable price of only $9.99.
$9.99?
It's not $10.
It's not $1,000. And Dan, you really need me back here for this. It's not $1 million.
But
$9.99. Also brought to you in part by the up-and-coming Anything_Wrestling_Podcast 1 Instagram page. We will be up in a couple months. I'm busy, people. Okay, cut me a break. But
with that,
if you wondered why I kind of gave that little promo of today's episode, it's because in every good revolution, there's always good things and bad things that come into the way. But then again, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Bling.
But the way that we're going to feel about this particular part of the revolution may not be as forthright. Just because we have the opinions we have, we'll try to be as unbiased as we can. But I think it does need to be discussed.
I mean, I told you last night that I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Just because I know in the past we have sort of trashed on this topic. But if we're reviewing it, we gotta address both the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. So, for those of you who have yet to put it together, today we will be reviewing Ronda Rousey's WWE career. We just felt like it would be a good time to talk about it because we don't know if she's coming back or if she's not coming back. However, there's been a good bookend to her career, starting from Royal Rumble 2018 all the way to Wrestlemania 35. We just felt like it would be a good chunk to sort of go back and discuss how we felt. So let's get on with it. So it is the Royal Rumble, first ever women's Royal Rumble back in 2018. We're watching it. Asuka wins. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss get in the ring. How did you feel when that song hit and out came Ronda?
To be fair, I didn't know that was going to be your theme music. I was thrown off by it. But seeing her come out, I'll be fair. Like, I thought, and this is me being honest, this is not like already taking a dive on her.
So are you being serious for a minute?
If I could be serious for a minute, I was not okay with it. It's like you're trying to create moments. You're trying to create a good timeline in a company where it's always been predominantly male. It's always been showcasing women as objects and as managers and as sex objects and things like this, right? For the last few years, you're slowly starting to build them up like, hey, they're able to wrestle. They're not divas anymore. They're wrestlers. They're equals to their male counterparts.
Yeah.
In a way. You have the first ever Women's Royal Rumble. And you have one of the greatest Asian competitors in the world win it. All to cloud that with someone you've been trying to get into your company for a few years now because she quit her MMA career or she put it on hold. I get it. You know, where however way you can make history or make the money, you know, for your company, you'll grab that person or that asset. But it took away from Asuka's moment. I told you guys when I saw it, I was really upset. Because it's like, you guys could have done it before. You guys could have done it where it's literally the following night. You do it right after one of the best and first Women's Royal Rumble match. You take away from someone who earned their way in there, who fought their way against 29 other competitors, and it's like, no, we need you now. And then that subtle handshake with Stephanie McMahon and the whole pointing. Can't even see your finger because of Roddy Piper's big-ass jacket covering it. And you're pointing to the WrestleMania sign indicating that's your goal. It's like, didn't you have a smaller goal to begin with?
Apparently she wasn't supposed to point, and she did.
Yeah, she already started off like on the wrong foot.
Let me jump in. I guess we can go back to saying this is booking's fault for having her come out right after Asuka's win. Someone also brought up a good point that if she was going to go feud with Asuka, that would have maybe made a little bit sense. But she comes out, interrupts Asuka winning the first ever Women's Royal Rumble, and then she goes on to feud with Triple H and Steph. And it's like, well, if you're going to feud with Triple H and Steph, then why are you coming out after the Royal Rumble? You're not going to go for a title shot. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte are in there. You're not going for their titles. So it didn't make any sense.
Like, why are you feuding immediately with the Authority? Why not? I think it would have been a better catalyst to start her off as a heel. Like, oh, yeah, this girl won. But what if you put me in it? I think by having Ronda come out, take the spotlight, attack Asuka, I think I would have believed, like, okay, you really are trying to show that you're the baddest woman on the planet. You're starting off really well in my eyes by starting a rivalry with the person who won the first ever match. But you decide, no, let me feud with the people who are bringing me into this company, who signed me to the WWE.
Well, again, that's the booking decision. But if that's true, if her pointing to the sign was never supposed to happen, again, it's a case of just ad-libbing and already going off script. Again, I wasn't happy with it either. I just felt like every time the women get a break, every time when something historical happens, whether it's guys, whether it's girls, whether it's circumstance, there's always something that sort of takes away from it. I'll give you a couple examples. First ever Money in the Bank women's match. Yeah, we all remember that.
Oh, I hope he's in jail right now.
That's a topic for a different time. But if you,
I'll never discuss that guy ever.
If you go a little past Royal Rumble and you go to WrestleMania when Charlotte broke Asuka's streak, there was a pair of jorts that bolted right by Charlotte. Undertaker's here. And so immediately you go from Charlotte being on the ramp to, oh, he's here. John Cena hops over the barricade, just bolts right through Charlotte, to the point where Charlotte's like, and she continues posing. And in my mind, I'm like, again, we couldn't wait. You couldn't go to a quick commercial break, come back, and then do that. You had to do it right dead center of her celebrating her victory. So I feel like with the women, there's always almost a catch. Like, yeah, we're gonna give you this moment, but it's probably gonna be overshadowed by something.
Do you think that's Vince?
Maybe, because thinking back, NXT is an example where if it was the first ever Iron Woman match or whatever, there was never any shenanigans. They would give you everything, and they wouldn't pull the trigger on something else to overshadow it. But okay, so we get the introduction to Ronda. She comes in. Then you start building the storyline of her against the Authority, with Kurt Angle being by her side. I'm gonna wrap up that build up and say, nah, okay.
She makes her debut at Mania. She surprises a lot of people, even though she does have a couple botches. And her and Angle win.
This is where I'll give her the first of 2 credits, and I'll say
only 2.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
specific. That match was pretty good. There was the whole element of intergender moments. There was the whole element of, Triple H and Ronda squaring off. I thought it was cool. I will admit we were all waiting for her to fall flat on her face, but for being given that spot on the card, okay, she delivered.
Here's the thing. I wasn't waiting for her to fall on her face. I was more along the lines of, if you're rusty, okay, I get it. But you didn't take the time to build yourself up like your female counterparts. You didn't choose to go the NXT route or the Mae Young Classic route like Shayna or... I am so bad with the other 2.
Jessamine Duke and Marina Schaefer.
Yeah. You chose that because of who you are, because of what your name is, and the thing that you've done for your career, that, I should be in WrestleMania.
Do you think it's her decision, or do you think it's booking's decision?
I think it's booking and Vince. Because it's like, Ronda Rousey's a household name. Ronda Rousey is this. Ronda Rousey is that. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, Ronda Rousey is still a normal, everyday person, just like every other woman competitor in the back. She's still a normal person like Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair or Sasha Banks, and yes, I said Sasha Banks, and Bayley or Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Carmella. I can name the entire women's roster. She's still an individual like them. But because of who she is by name and reputation, no, we're going to glorify it. Well, Vince McMahon's going to glorify it and cash in as much as he can.
Well, I'm going to come back to this, the whole thing about the place on the card. I just want to kind of go through chronologically.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay, so moving forward, she decides to challenge Nia Jax at the time for the Raw Women's Champion.
In a very reverse psychological way, I think this was maybe WWE's way of let's cover it up. And Nia, you go challenge Ronda so that the other way around doesn't seem so forced. And this is the second credit that I'm going to give her. That match at Money in the Bank was entertaining. I'm not going to lie. Of course, then the match ended when my Lexi cashed in her briefcase. But that becomes a thing of its own. So now Alexa Bliss is champion. I thought you could have capped it off by having a triple threat, because first it's Nia, then Alexa, then it's Nia and Ronda, then it's Ronda and Alexa. And it's just put them all in a triple threat and then decide your winner. It was right after Money in the Bank where I was like, okay, your matches now seem rushed. They seem like, okay, just hurry up.
It's like her MMA matches. I'm just going to end it quickly if I can get you in the armbar.
Yeah.
And you're done. We don't get to see what she's learned, how technical she's become, how used to taking a bump or a dive she's gotten. Yeah. It's more like you're still rusty, but do what you've done in the octagon. Get it done quick and fast. And it's this is taken away from her credibility. Is she really fit for the WWE? But moving forward.
So then I'm not going to go through every single match, but the next highlight I would say was at SummerSlam where she wins the championship.
Wasn't your girl weakened though? No, not kayfabe wise. Didn't she have a legitimate injury?
Not that I recall. Not
I'm
at
trying
that
to
time.
remember.
Not that I recall. I could be wrong, but around that time, I don't recall her having an injury. But I think we all saw what was coming. I think it was just, a matter of time until Ronda became champion. And this is where I kind of took exception to everything. So when she has the Raw Women's Championship, she goes on a tirade of, burying talent in less than 5 minutes. Like you said, if she got the opportunity to slap in that arm bar, she did. It was just at a point where I felt, okay, so she's not really getting better when it comes to, promos. Her matches are meh. She had 2 flashes in the pan, and I gave credit to both of them.
Well, let me tell you who her competitors were before it started getting serious.
Okay.
Nikki Bella. Mickie James. Nia Jax. Natalya. And Sasha Banks. This is before Royal Rumble. But at the time, Sasha Banks was one of her competitors. And it's like, okay, you're kind of building up who she can face off against, but she's still squashing them. She's still burying them.
Yep.
It wasn't till the end of Evolution, before every woman stood out there proud of what they accomplished as being the first all-female only event, that, let's put serious competition her way.
Yeah.
Let's start putting Charlotte against her or Becky against her. And it's like, okay. So at Evolution, we get the face-off that we've been wanting to see. Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. And all of us at the podcast were hyped up. We were wanting this. It's the week before, or I think 2 weeks before, SmackDown attacked Raw.
Yeah.
And Nia Jax just ruins it all by one sucker punch to Becky's face.
I think it was a blessing in disguise, if you ask me, because there's a chance that Becky might not have main evented Mania had that not happened.
I think she was only meant to main event Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Against Ronda.
But
again, blessing in disguise.
yeah.
So what do we do? Because she's technically physically concussed. It's not kayfabe.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate injury. So we substitute the match that's supposed to happen at WrestleMania for Survivor Series with Charlotte Flair. Now, at first we're like, okay, it's part of the story. We like it. Becky and Charlotte kind of squashed their rivalry just so SmackDown versus Raw can still happen.
Yeah.
To be fair, in that match, it was one of Ronda's longest matches, and it showed the true vulnerability that she really hasn't learned how to take bumps, dives, and hits.
And I forgot to give credit. That's the third match that I will give her credit for, Survivor Series.
And then I don't know if this was off scripted or if this was legitimate or if it was just pent up aggression and rage from Charlotte, but she gives Ronda the beating of a lifetime with the kendo stick.
I think it was good timing because once again, you build up Ronda to be this person who can't be touched.
This invincible woman.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that the crowd actually jumped on board that night. And it was from this point where you saw, okay, the fans have kind of turned against her, but she can't really take it.
I don't know if that's her playing into that or that's legitimate. I still wonder that. And my reasoning for that is because it seemed like you see her walk off. She can't take it when fans are up in her face. So she decides, I'm going to respond back to you. I don't give a fuck what you have to say about me. Because one fan called her out and said, like, you're not, or like, Amanda Nunes kicked your ass or something. And I guess she called them out saying, you're not a real man, blah, blah. It's like, these are the same people that are there for you. Why are you turning on them? Because they're hitting you with facts. And it's the truth. She got her ass kicked by a better MMA competitor. And it's like, the bleeding reality is setting in that, like, is she really weak? Is she really incapable of being vulnerable? So we don't see her have a legitimate pay-per-view match to Royal Rumble, but she does get involved in a rivalry that builds up WrestleMania by eliminating both Charlotte and Becky in the TLC match like they had against Asuka to crown Asuka the SmackDown Women's Champion for the following few months, even though we don't see her on TV. And then Ronda slowly still showing like heelish tactics, but not really, because she still wants to be everybody's favorite Raw girl. So we get Royal Rumble. Oh, well, here. We see a build-up of a good rivalry, actually, between Banks and Rousey.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I think that's one of my favorite Ronda Rousey matches.
Wow.
Because, yes, it is
so ironic.
It is against someone I don't like, but it showed that, again, second longest match she's had. It's actually competitive, and it seems like Ronda's learning, finally.
And she won by pinfall.
Yes, something that she hasn't done in any of her matches, except that one. And what happens after the match? What? Banks tries to give her respect, but Ronda's like, nah, I'm okay. I don't need your respect.
Other way around. Ronda tries to give Sasha respect, but Sasha puts up the 4, indicating that they're going to feud, apparently. But I don't know.
The following night, because I think that's when it happened,
You really saw that coming in, where Becky comes out and she's like, unlike Seth, I don't need time to think about it. I choose you. You saw the crowd really get to Ronda. Like, everybody was kind of at a point where, enter Becky Lynch, we're done with Ronda. No more. We don't want to see the same song and dance act anymore.
We don't want to see you bury your competition.
But again, you saw those little hinklings of she can't take it. She's frustrated. She wants to be accepted, but nobody's giving it to her. Honestly, if you ask me, the entire build-up between Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda was botched. I think it was WWE's way of, hey, we can still get what we originally wanted, which was Charlotte versus Ronda, but let's just sprinkle Becky in, and that way we all get what we want. The match that everybody wanted to see was Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. I remember that stare down where she came out the night after the Rumble, when Ronda was like, I own the ground under my feet and I'm going to own you at Mania. She throws the mic down. Seeing that stare down, I'm like, my goodness, that's so iconic. But in all seriousness, I'm like, please don't put Charlotte in this match. So they do. And then Ronda, right before Mania, comes out and finally realizes that it's time to turn heel. She turns heel. She starts attacking Lynch and Flair.
Damn the man. Screw the woo. No more Miss Nice Bitch. Ugh. Like, I think if she had just went in and beat their ass first and then said the lines, I think I would have probably believed it more. And I'm being fair. Because that turn was inevitable. It was going to happen. And the thing about it, too, is that you need there to be, like, competition for Becky in this match.
Yeah.
You can't just have it that Becky finally gets her shot at Ronda, but she still has to go through Charlotte in a way. But Charlotte and Becky are mostly going to do the damage to her. It's like, no. They're both coming after the babyface no matter what, even though I still see Becky as Miss Anti-Establishment.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of fading away, to be fair. But that's another
another topic, yeah.
So Ronda starts doing this whole F the WWE thing. Blurring the lines of like, oh, I don't give a damn about what kayfabe is. I'm just going to ruin everything for everybody. And then you see the memes of her like, oh, like, oh, what's a typical thing that we know is not real about somebody that's just like a promo?
When she's like, I don't even know what the beat the clock challenge is, but it sounds like one of your slapped on gimmicks, so let's just get this farce over with.
Yeah. Or she'll be like, I'm not here to create your little storyline fantasies or anything. It's like, okay, we get it. Now you're just coming off as annoying.
The funny part is that for someone who's trying to be liked by the audience,
Doesn't give a damn if she's hated.
is given a gimmick where it's like, yeah, just go and just, take a dump all over WWE. So it's like, how do you expect people to like you if you're doing that? Now, granted, yeah, she's supposed to be a heel at this point, but it's like if you're trying to build, like, I'm thinking that maybe one day you're going to try to turn her face again. Trust me when I say WWE fans are not very forgetful. They remember a lot of things. But anyway, we fast forward to Mania, and this is where I think I can maybe bring everything full circle and maybe let out some aggression, because I've been trying to be fair, which I am. We come to WrestleMania. I was reading a lot of rumors and speculation about how Ronda does not want to put Becky Lynch over, neither by tap out or by pinfall.
Because apparently what the rumor is, technically, she's not mad at Becky Lynch, she's mad at Rebecca Quinn. Like,
Yeah.
the real
Yeah.
persona that she is. And it's like, you're kind of the fault of why she's acting like an asshole to you.
Yeah.
But go on.
So, we have the match. The match was meh. And then we get to the ending. Every time I talk with Dan, we kind of talk about this. The one image that everybody was waiting to see, the one screenshot of Mania that you're waiting to see, was Becky Lynch having the disarmer on Ronda with Ronda Rousey tapping out. That's what everybody essentially wanted to see. But instead we get a crucifix pin where apparently one shoulder comes off the mat on the one count, and then it's 1, 2, 3. It's out of nowhere. It's sudden. Becky Lynch is your new champion. Ronda kind of staggers around like, what's going on? What just happened? And that's it. Exit Ronda Rousey. I'm going to have a child. I'm going to start a family. Bookend your career. Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty. I found it to be so disrespectful. And so, I was literally thinking about this as I was coming here. This topic is sensitive to me, but I will address it. The Undertaker got his streak broken. And rumor and speculation is that Undertaker wanted to give back to the company. And he thought, what bigger way to do that than to give my undefeated streak to someone who can elevate themselves? Which I think is one of the saving graces, that Brock Lesnar turned from beast to the Suplex City behemoth that we've come to know him as now. And it's like, you have people who want to give back, who go to the performance center, become coaches because they want to give back to the company that's given them everything. And I look at Ronda, I'm like, okay, you come in at the Royal Rumble, so you take the spotlight. You go to WrestleMania, you're given a place on the card where half the roster was forced to be taken on to the pre-show. Then you go on to get a women's championship match, which you get multiple times, and you finally win, which again, half the roster has to go through qualifying matches to get. And then you hang on to that championship. You headline every single pay-per-view that you're a part of, for the most part. Even in moments where I personally felt like you shouldn't have not been the main event. For example, Evolution. Becky and Charlotte should have been the main event. And then you choose to be mad because people start not giving you the reaction that they used to give you. So you kind of go on a tirade. You turn heel. And then when it comes to the moment when it matters the most, where you say, okay, this company has given me, WrestleMania match, women's championship, spotlight on each and every pay-per-view, a place on the card on every single Raw, has been very good to me, has been loyal to me. Everybody has been good to me here. But I don't want to put over the biggest superstar that's coming up the ranks. And to me, that was like, really? You couldn't do this one time? You couldn't swallow your pride and go, hey, you know what? For the better part of the last year, I've been put over. She was undefeated, quote unquote.
For a whole year.
For a whole year. And it comes time for you to do favors, for you to, okay.
You've been given the red royal carpet down to your feet. And you've also said that you stand the ground that you walk. But even then, there comes a time in this company, it's your turn to pay dues. It's your turn to not necessarily take punishment, but
give back.
Give back. And you had one simple thing to do. Just one. It's not asking for the world. It's not deeming you as the weakest link ever in the history of women's wrestling or mixed martial arts or anything. It's just a simple tap out or a pinfall at least to who we're promoting as the next thing for our company. What's the problem?
So now I think it's where we sort of dive into, pre-WWE. We've talked about it. She's had one or two heart-wrenching losses.
Her first loss was so heartbreaking that she wanted to contemplate suicide after it. And I'm not an advocate for suicide. I'm not.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but my whole thing is that if you're someone who's gone through that whole thing of, hey, I'm thinking about pulling the trigger. You would think that, and I've said this so many times, her biggest problem is not being humble. Her biggest problem is thinking that it's her show. That No matter what. And going back to your point, it's the only reason why you came in and you were pushed to the moon was because of your name. Everybody could sit there and say, Triple H, bless him, but he could sit there and say Ronda was in the Performance Center. She was working on it until she puked or whatever. Okay, that's great, but guess what? 1 or 2 months of doing that is not going to win over the fans.
No.
There are people who still to this day are at the Performance Center trying to master their craft. A lot of people don't even make it out of the Performance Center. I know there was 2 people recently who were just let go. They didn't make it out of the Performance Center. They were just let go. And you mean to tell me that Ronda comes in? So now, okay, if someone were to ask me, well, okay, well, if you're so smart about it, how would you book it? I would have Ronda at the Performance Center for maybe a solid 10 months to almost a year.
And how do what Kurt Angle did.
And documented it. You can even bring it up. Have her do post-show interviews where, hey, Ronda, how's it at the Performance Center? Go ahead and talk freely.
Do you remember Randy Orton when he first started?
Yeah.
Remember how he broke his shoulder?
Yeah.
Remember the RNN coverage? Mm. You could have done that. You could have built her up to come in a year later as a heel.
Even as a face.
Because she's fine. So beloved, right? Well, because of who she was. Okay. So you could have done that. You could have literally had, Performance Center update 3 months in.
Yeah.
Ronda's still learning. Yeah, she's puking, but she's learning. 6 months later, 6-month update. She's getting better. She's learning, grappling. You can even show her having a little match.
Yeah.
Or just training with someone really good.
Put specials on the network.
Yeah.
Put exclusive videos on YouTube.
On WWE.com. 9 months in. We're not going to put her in an NXT match, but she's going to have an NXT-like match at the Performance Center alone. With whoever. 1 year. Where's Ronda? She's not in the performance. Oh my God, she just came in. She's on Raw. She's on SmackDown. She just attacked so-and-so. Okay, she's ready. She trained. She busted her ass for a whole year. She's proving something. Even as a heel.
I wouldn't even mind having her be, entrant number 30 at this year's Royal Rumble.
For 2020?
No, 2019.
Oh, if it was done that
yeah.
way. Okay.
Because theoretically, she would have started performing a year ago, so then she would have come in at Royal Rumble 2019. Now, I know that there's some people who are like, these two guys, it's Ronda Rousey. She doesn't have to gear up for anything. No. It doesn't work that way. Even though I know WWE pushes that all the time, I get it. You were big in the Olympics. You were big in UFC. That's great. But WWE is a whole different beast.
Mm-hmm.
There are football players like, Goldberg and Baron Corbin, who, just because they were football players, they didn't come in and go, oh, you had success elsewhere? World Heavyweight Championship.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
He was a college wrestling NCAA champion.
And here's the thing. There are some people who...
And even Brock went to OVW.
And that's the thing is that WWE wanted to win over the fans by saying, oh, she trained for what, 2 months? That's it?
You consider her MMA career training? No.
And let's be honest here. Again, her fighting was meh, but her my ability to believe her promos, and this was a small little thing that I would always pick out. It seems like they never told her what to do with the title. Because every time she would come into the ring, she would put that title at the corner. She would drop it at the corner. She would slap her legs and her whatever. And the ref would go, no, pick up the title. Pick it up. Because you got to give it to me so I can hoist it up. So there were small things that I noticed where it's like, it's obvious you didn't get the full training that you were supposed to get. Now, once again, I'm not a WWE superstar. I wouldn't know everything, but there are some things that we've seen enough times where it's like, okay,
it's like the basics.
Yeah, you see everybody else do it, so you would only expect that you guys would have taught her to do the same thing.
Kurt Angle. I always see Kurt Angle as the greatest example of someone who was an Olympic athlete, who came into a sport he clearly said knew nothing about.
Yeah.
But still went through the process of what we described Ronda should have done. Went through a couple years worth of training, makes his debut at 99 Survivor Series, even though we saw him a few months, maybe a couple years back.
Yeah.
And he took it like a fish in water. He knew how to cut promos. He learned. He knew how to take bumps. He knew how to wrestle. He used his amateur wrestling ability, mixed it up with WWE wrestling. He learned, and what has Kurt Angle's career become since that? He's going down as one of the greatest wrestlers in this industry and all time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Ronda should have done that. I'm saying if she was touted that way, she could have headlined WrestleMania. Maybe give her the Royal Rumble win in 2019. Or maybe she does headline it but doesn't win the main event.
Yeah.
There's so much you could have done, but because of who she's become before all this, no, we'll give her the royal carpet treatment.
And I think also somewhere along the line, the backstage
Shenanigans and bullshit.
Yeah, you got to understand, this is WWE. Trash talking on social media and in the ring, outside of the ring, is the norm.
Especially since social media is now their biggest platform.
Yeah, but it seems like Ronda Rousey didn't get that memo.
Nope.
So, again, I'm trying to be fair because I know in the past on this podcast we have put her on blast and we've said things that we probably should not have said, which is why we've sort of toned a lot of things down. But it's like, in all fairness, and I'm trying to be fair here. Like, I've given her credit. I truly believe that had she had at least 10 months to at least a year of training, I wouldn't even mind seeing her have a brief NXT run. You know?
I mean, her friends have to go through it. Shayna's been the women's champion for a while now.
And keep in mind, she still has an MMA background. So, you know, I don't want to hear the whole thing of, oh, but her name is Ronda. Okay, I really don't care. This is not UFC. This is not MMA. This is not mixed martial arts. It's WWE. And granted, I know for a fact everyone might say, oh, well, you know, just because you want a superstar to get a push doesn't mean that they're going to get a push. But, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, that's the other thing is that they come out and they go, new superstars, new opportunities, like, new beginning, you're the authority. And it's like, okay, well, there's all this female talent who you do not push. There's all this female talent who gets shoved into catering, and then you bring Ronda out on a weekly basis. And that again, I go back to that. They give you the red carpet treatment. And when it comes time for you to give back for just one night, you have to make it sour.
Oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's not who I am. Or, what was it? I won't do it. It's like, really? You can't do one simple thing.
And keep in mind, like, sometimes what you don't do affects the other performers. I told you how I just felt like on Sunday, Ronda was champion. I wake up Monday morning, and then all of a sudden Becky is champion. I didn't feel that transition. There's always a big payoff. Like, you know, all the greatest WrestleMania battles in the world, like, if they're not executed correctly, they're gonna fall out. That's just how it is. And I honestly feel like with the whole Becky Lynch thing, it all built up, but then there was like this almost disappointment where it's like, oh, okay.
Like, it was lackluster.
Yeah.
It was the defining moment we all wanted to see, but because you couldn't do it, you didn't want to give your one due. You were being asked the world. You were asked something simple, and you couldn't even do that. So we put the power of, hey, you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to pull the trigger for you, into Vince McMahon's hand.
And this is why once the event ended, I told you guys I got flashback to Montreal Screwjob. As ridiculous as it sounds, as out of this world as it sounds, it looked like one of those things where it's like, okay, Ronda, you don't want to do business, we'll do business for you. So, again, this is why I feel like a lot of people, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but, you know, for someone who came in, got pushed to the moon, you say, she might say she had to pay her dues. I question that. I really do.
What dues does she have to pay?
So, those are just my sentiments about Ronda Rousey. I mean, I really didn't have much of an opinion about her before WWE, but then once she came in and she got pushed to the moon, I'm like, okay, you're here, you're always here, you're at the forefront of everything, and then it leads to WrestleMania.
So, okay, because you weren't as aware of her, I'll tell you my impression of her. When she started coming up in the MMA, in the UFC, I thought to myself, okay, she's proving her ground as a mixed martial artist and as an amateur wrestler. She gets a title. She keeps winning. It's like, all right, you're gaining competition, but it doesn't feel like you're getting the competition you deserve. I think you need to be pushed to your limits. 12-0. You suffer your first loss, but you're not humble about it at all. You're angry, you're disappointed in yourself. And yes, you want to go into the dark route and you feel like you want to take care of something. I get it that you're not used to losing, but coming into that match cocky that you knew what was going to happen. You wouldn't let it happen, but you still let it happen. And then all of a sudden now it's like, oh, I can't lose. I wasn't supposed to lose. That's not right. I'm not okay. Like, really? You couldn't lose? You couldn't take a dive?
You weren't supposed to lose.
Like, come on. Like, that's not even fair. And that there's people with legitimate serious issues that have taken their lives because of whatever ails them. I don't mean to be mean about it, but it's to me it's unfair that you can't put yourself in a humbling situation because you don't know what it's like to lose. There's people that would kill to be her, to be in her spot, to be touted as the woman who revolutionized an entire sport like mixed martial arts. And you were so cocky in your title reign that it's like you can't handle a loss. And then you can't handle a second loss on top of that. And I've always been like unfair to be so judging of her because of that she had to come to WWE. But it's like, I'm not justifying what I said is right, but at the same time, it's not fair that you can't handle being a loser. That you can't handle taking a loss because you're Ronda Rousey. Because you're the baddest woman on the planet. Because you're like supposedly have to be undefeated anywhere you're at. There's people who take losses every single day. It's not that hard to be graceful and be like, okay, this is what's being asked of me. I'll comply. Maybe there'll be a bigger payout because of it. Maybe I'll get a different push or a different direction in my career or something. But the whole thing of that they had to do business for you,
which I don't know if it's true. I'm speculating.
It feels like it. But the fact that they had to do business for you should say that, hey, the people that build you can easily break you. And you need to understand that. You need to humble yourself in anything you do. My opinion of her has always been, if you are a humble champion or a humble person, people will love you and respect you no matter what. But at one point, because you keep winning and winning, you develop this ego that, no, I can't be touched. I can't be beaten. I'm the greatest no matter what. I'm the person that's done all this. No, it's about me. It's like, no, it's not. Because there's people around you that have worked just as hard, if not harder, to either want to be you or be better than you or be above you on top of that. And you can't accept that. Like, that's what bugged me about WrestleMania, is that you went to the event. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Like, come on. This is scripted. No one's going to fucking tell you your whole lifetime, you tapped to Becky Lynch. No one's going to care in 50 years from now. All that's going to be remembered, if you had done your job, is Ronda Rousey is the first woman to compete in 2 sports and be the best at what she does. But instead, it's going to be Ronda Rousey competed in 2 sports where she had to be the best no matter what, but couldn't do the job.
And I mean, keep in mind, I can only imagine what that conversation was like, where it's like, yeah, by the way, this is WWE. The ending is scripted. So just keep in mind, maybe not right now, but there will come a time where you're going to have to lay down for someone. It's not UFC where it's just go and win.
Good luck. Good luck if you win. Good luck if you lose.
So yeah, and we're not trying to knock her for going through a tough patch after she lost. Losing can be a very tough thing, depending on what it is, where it is, against who. But there comes to a point where it's like, okay, I've lost. It is what it is. How do I further myself from this point? I just feel like, again, like that's the mindset that she has, is I always need to win. I'm always gonna win no matter what. So yeah, it frustrates me. Like you bring someone in, you do all this, and then when it comes time, they basically say, screw your plans, I'm not doing it. Yeah, I don't know. Bless her, I hope that she's doing well, but all I gotta say is, you hear it all the time. I've heard it in multiple interviews where people say, I was told by so-and-so, stay humble, stay in your lane, don't let it get to your head, don't get cocky, don't get caught up, just, keep your head down and, go. So, I don't know. I would say her WWE career is basically, it's entitled, it's privileged, it's spoiled. You ask me, so what you're trying to say, she hasn't earned anything? Not exactly in my eyes, no. You don't go to the Performance Center for, a month and a half and then say, okay, I'm ready for Wrestlemania, and then get everything handed to you. But yeah, I mean, I could sit here and I can talk for ages, but that's just my sentiments.
I mean, it's not far off. It's just, how can I state this without being an asshole? Oh, and I'm the commissioner, I can say whatever I want. Look, my thing has always been that I'm very particular about anyone in this industry. Whether you're a face, a heel, anti-hero, whatever you are. I hold such a high regard to all these people because it's something that I've grown up watching from a golden age to a modern day era where it's like, back in the day, I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes unless like there's exclusive videos that I had to purchase or had to find, to now where it's like, it's at the palm of my hand. I can watch what they're doing because they love to put it out there. And when you're in that light, as far as being in this path of this company or this career or this business, you need to understand you're always going to be asked to do something you don't want to do. And there's a lot of people that have done so many things in their career that they never wanted to do. But what has it done for them? It's made them either into the greatest that they have ever been, or, I remember that guy, he did that. Or I remember her, she did that stupid gimmick. Like, freaking, what was it? Gargano?
Mm-hmm.
He was like this, like, fiddler, freaking weirdo wrestler back in 08.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And where is he now?
Yeah.
Freaking, you had Aleister Black. Came out as a mortician back in the day.
Really?
Got chokeslammed to hell by The Undertaker in 05. Look at where he is now. Victoria. She used to be a hoe for The Godfather during the greatest part of the Attitude Era, also the worst thing in it, which was Right to Censor.
I was gonna say RTC is one of those things where Godfather was like, I don't want to do that. I hated it, but
Godfather was Papa Shango. Do you guys remember that? That's the most racist thing out there. And what did he turn into? Comma Mustafa, comma the Godfather. 3 more additional character changes. All for the better, though. All for the betterment of himself and to who he was inside. People pay their dues in this company for years. When you come in hot because of your name and you can't do one little thing, do you really think years from now people are going to remember you as one of the greatest in WWE and in MMA? No. Unfortunately, right now, they're going to remember her like, oh, she's the one that didn't do the job. She couldn't take a reverse armbar because she was too prideful. Oh, she's the one that botched the pinfall. That's all that people remember about her right now. They don't know her as an ambassador for the WWE right now, because that's technically what she is. She's supposed to make just sporadic appearances, kind of like all these other wrestlers that aren't on the card. Like, hey, this is the event we're at. I'm here to promote it. You know, come get autographs, all this. No. Nobody even gives a damn about all that right now with you. They just right now remember you as the girl who didn't want to take the fall or didn't want to do the job. And that's what bugs me about her right now. That's what bugs me about her in general. It's like you can't take a loss without making a big deal about it. And I get it. There's sore losers everywhere. And I'll admit, I've been a sore loser at things in my life. But I wouldn't go this far. It's your job. It's a scripted job. And you can't even do that. I respect what you've done as far as for MMA. I've given you credit where credit's due in your 1 year. But not this. This is where I lose my respect for her. And it sucks. Because it's like, there's little girls that want to be like you. That want to grow up to be as strong as you. And look at the example you're setting for them. You know, we're in an era where we need to empower the women around us because honestly, and this is speaking as a man, women are the more dominant and powerful sex. Hands down. But when you do shit like this in a company like this, it's like, really? You make the standard look bad.
I also wanted to throw that out there. We're not sexist.
No.
By any means. We're not misogynistic. Is that the word?
We talk about the women's revolution because we're proud of it.
I mean, we're advocates of Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, as much as we sometimes don't want to admit Charlotte Flair,
Carmella, Naomi, Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still shocked you're like, that was one of your favorite matches.
It is, because honestly, it showed that she can wrestle, that she can beat someone with a pinfall. Like, I got tired. I'm sorry. I know we joke about the list and the armbar. I was sick and tired of seeing her tap everybody out. I wanted to know, can you pin someone? Can you beat someone 1, 2, 3? You proved it. And I respect you for it.
So, you know...
So we're not sadists. We're not assholes that, oh, we think women belong in a kitchen. No, if anything, we're the guys that are like, I'll go make you that sandwich right away.
The funny thing is, I think now the universe has kind of shifted because the men now look at the women and go, how do we one-up that? Where back in the day, that wasn't even a conversation.
It was more like, all right, they're going to get their 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute match. All right, we're back in, right, boys? Yeah, let's go.
And so now, and I'm proud to see that because competition from within is actually a really good thing in my eyes. It's like, okay, if the women, if you feel like the women are outperforming you, then that pushes you to do more. So, I mean...
And here's the thing. I need to bring this up. Remember Royal Rumble? Our reaction to Nia Jax going into the men's Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that, narcissistic assholes that like, oh yeah, she needs to get her ass beat like that by every single competitor. No. If anything, I was actually proud of Nia Jax going in there like, this is a man's world, right? I'm going to go one up against them. And I'm going to fucking, if I take an ass beating, I take an ass beating. If I kick their asses, guess what? I'm the dominant species in this match. I mean, granted, yeah, she got RKO'd to hell, super kicked.
619. And that's the funny thing. Everyone's like, my goodness, they have 3 guys ganging up on a woman. Guys, it's WWE. It's not a real fight.
She trains for this.
She knows it was coming, you know? People
like, they teach them how to take the hate.
It's so funny because I sometimes go back and I see like 2002 clips where 3-minute warning would like splash onto women, and I'm like, Jesus. Like, you have a 300-pounder who dives off the top rope and splashes on top of a woman.
And he doesn't just like, no, he gets agile and has the body movement of a 150-pounder to jump off that rope. By the way, rest in peace.
Yeah,
that
Jamal
was
and Rosie.
Umaga was Rosie.
Jamal.
Oh, Jamal.
Yeah.
But man, that dude had hop.
Yeah. So I mean,
or even when the Dudleys would put women through tables.
Mae Young.
God rest her soul, but she took a freaking table powerbomb. Stacy Keibler did it. Yeah, the testicles. Who else took?
Every other woman in the roster: Lita, Trish, Terry Runnels,
Jackie.
Everyone. Yeah.
These women are trained for it. So it's like, we're not misogynistic to the point like, yeah, beat her. Beat the fuck out of her. Destroy her. It's like, no, we're not advocating for that. We're advocating for like, all right, she's going to come in. I want to see if she can kick somebody's ass in this. She did.
She eliminated Ali. I mean...
And even he was proud of it. He was cool with it. He's like, I'm okay with her eliminating me. She kicked my ass.
So, again, everyone, at least on the AWP, have been advocates for the women. I think we've even said that, like, the women have been the more dominating performers than the men.
I want to see another women's pay-per-view at this point. All women pay-per-view again. I don't want to wait if you're going to do it again until October. No. I think we really need a women's pay-per-view like now. Or mix it up. It's just, you need to give this revolution its due already. Don't give it just for 1 month and then bury it. Yeah, you had them headline WrestleMania, but you haven't done anything as of recent. What are you going to do? I get it that the one person in your company that you push so much, is gone right now. But you have an entire roster of women.
And do you see that's another problem is that if Ronda had beaten her opponents believably, it would be to the point where you can build them up without pushing Ronda and burying the woman that's on the other side of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It shocks me, it amazes me how someone like a Ruby Riott has yet to be built up, has yet to be champion, has yet to have accomplishments, because she's a very good talent. But honestly, the Riott Squad and Ruby Riott are only remembered primarily for, oh, you tapped out to Ronda, or oh, you lost to her in 2 or 3 minutes. So that's the problem, is that once the one person leaves who you've put all your eggs into, it's like, oh, we don't really have anybody else. What do we do?
When you do have everybody else, you have a freaking laundry list of people.
And
Even the one person that I'm not a fan of, she's still on the roster and you could do something with her. Granted, she has no personality, though. But you put your eggs in one basket for so long, and now it's gone, and it's like, she buried everybody. Can't really revitalize them. What do we do?
And do you see that's the problem? Is if Ronda had believable 10-minute matches where it was back and forth as opposed to she gets beat up, last minute she makes a comeback, slaps on that arm bar, opponent taps out, okay, done deal. Yeah, I mean, again, bless her, hope she's doing well. I just feel like while you can't teach everyone how to be humble and how to assess things, you sort of hope that through time they kind of learn to do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my final sentiments about her. Anything else you want to throw in there? So there you go, guys. We covered Ronda Rousey, her WWE career, and some parts of her personality, or who she is and what she's done for the business. To this point, her career has sort of had a bookend with, not being seen in since after WrestleMania. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, and we will see you all next time.